I'm in the pantry eating the dark chocolate covered mangoes. I have to hide them, otherwise I'll never get any. I'm also trying to figure out what we're going to cook for dinner this week because I'm not going grocery shopping. So let's meal plan with no grocery list. And if this is the first time you're in my pantry, let's just remind you, I live in a small farmhouse, a very old farmhouse. My pantry is not the most aesthetically pleasing thing, nor is it gratefully organized. So deal with it, and no judgment. So of all this, what can we make? It's a great question. And the first thing that jumps out at me is this Rouse marinara. I've heard it's delicious. And then of course I've got some pasta. I'll always keep pasta on hand no matter what. So I think we're gonna do like pasta and meatballs. I think I have some spaghetti noodles might be in the basement, but I think we might do spaghetti and meatballs with some breadsticks because that sounds good. And that's exactly what we had on Monday night. So again, you can skip the meatballs or use pre-made meatballs. I made my own. These really weren't that hard. So a pound of hamburger, some Italian seasoning, some garlic salt, healthy spoonful of garlic, some pepper, about half a cup of breadcrumbs, and an egg. And then use the best kitchen utensils you've ever been given, your hands, to mesh that all together. And then we are going to make that into about quarter size meatballs. Those work best for our family, and it made quite a few. And then once we're all done with those, we are going to start our pasta water. Always salt your water, always, and then wait for it. And my pan's only slightly dirty from cooking on it earlier. No big deal. It adds character and flavor. So then while those are cooking, I am going to start our Olive Garden dupe breadsticks. So 2 tablespoons of butter, some garlic salt on the breadsticks in the oven at 350 for about 25 to 30 minutes. We are then going to flip our meatballs. All the while we are getting our water boiling for our pasta, which we will add next. And then we do try to flip the meatballs one more time to cook on the one side where it doesn't seem like it cooked enough. We're going to drain our pasta because it should be done by then. Dump it back in the pan. Use a full jar of Raos. Here you see me debating on whether I use a full jar. I did. I also put a little bit of water in it and just to get the rest of the sauce out and dump that in. We are going to mix it all up nice and good. And then we're going to add in our meatballs. I did set 2 meatballs aside for my kiddos because then I could cut them up for them. Mix it all up, and this was a super easy, delicious dinner, and I topped it with just some mozzarella cheese. One of our favorites now. The other thing that jumps out at me is enchilada sauce. So I make a really good enchilada soup in the crock pot, and since we just got dumped on with like 8 inches of snow that's all supposed to melt in the same day, might be a good soup day. And we ended up doing soup 2 days later when it was 28 degrees out and cold. So this one is super, super easy. So chicken breast, can of chicken stock, can of enchilada sauce, 2 cans of crushed diced tomatoes, 2 cans of corns, and 2 cans of black beans, all into the crock pot. We're going to put it on low for 6 hours. I did 6 hours because my chicken breast was thawed. If you have a frozen chicken breast, do it for 8 hours. And then once that is done cooking, you're just going to find your chicken breast and start to shred it up with a couple of forks. I do not use my hand mixer in this one just because it'll break up the beans and the corn, and I don't want to do that. So then once it is all said and done, you just top it with your favorite toppings, which for me, that is some cheese and sour cream. This one does pack a little bit of heat, so might not be the most kid-friendly, but it is definitely one of our favorite soups. The other thing is this aged balsamic vinegar. I saw, when I was looking up pork roast recipes, I saw one that called for this and brown sugar, which is in my baking cabinet, and do that with some potatoes I have here. Yes, my red onions are starting to grow a little bit, but that's okay. They'll be fine. But I do have potatoes, so I think we'll do that with some mashed potatoes. All right, so we're going to start this one with a tablespoon of brown sugar, about a half a teaspoon, quarter teaspoon of sage, some salt and pepper, and then some garlic powder. We're going to mix that up, and then we are going to pat it all over our pork roast, which I did take out of the package and pat dry. Then the recipe calls to sear the pork roast on all sides. The thing about this is it was definitely not worth the hassle. Did it taste good? Yes. But I'm more of a dump and go kind of gal, and so this was a lot of prep work for not a whole lot of payoff. I guess I could find something easier. But anyway, 1 to 2 minutes on each side to sear everything, and then we're going to put it in the crock pot. And then with it in the crock pot, it gets a 1/4 cup of apple cider vinegar and a 1/4 cup of water. I also did add in a couple tablespoons of butter because I was worried that it would dry out. And to my surprise, or lack thereof, it did dry out some even with the butter. So I would still recommend adding the butter in, but this one went on low for 8 hours. And then when it's almost close to done, you're going to do your glaze, which is the balsamic, brown sugar, soy sauce, and garlic. And you have to cook it for about 15-20 minutes to get it to glaze up. So we did serve this with scalloped potatoes. I was testing out a recipe for Easter. I did not video it. My bad. We ended up shredding up the pork roast because that was the easiest to do because it did kind of get a little dry. It was delicious. It would be great with rice, even though I don't eat rice. This one just took too much effort for me. And I always keep, as we know, mac and cheese or like the pasta shells. So I think we might do like a chicken bacon ranch mac and cheese because I do have this canned chicken here that I do need to use. So we've got a meal plan shaping up. Let's go see what I've got in my bread freezer. When I say we got snow, that's where this lovely glow is coming from, is because the sun is now shining on the white that is outside this window. And this window's filthy because our dogs like to put their nose on it. So just hang on a second. It's not even as bad as it was, but it is. We got snow. Anyhow, so last time you saw my meat freezer. So in that we knew we had some ground beef left. We obviously had bacon. We have the pork loin roast, which is where I figured out that balsamic, brown sugar, whatever it is, roast that we're going to do. I'll always post the recipes in the description. But our chest freezer, which used to be our meat freezer, is now our bread freezer. So I go to the discount bread store and I always hit it up on their bargain day where everything on the back wall is $1. It's always close to the expiration date, so for me that doesn't matter because I put it all in the freezer. So let's take a look because I think I have some ideas on what we can do. And unfortunately, my husband packed this last. So now I'm not going to be able to find what I'm looking for. The last time I was in here, when I realized that we were running low on things, I saw, oh my God, yeah. So last time I let him pack this. Oh my God, where did they go? Time out. That is the last time he gets to put the bread away. But these are buried at the bottom. And as you can see, they got the little road rash on the way up here. But we have some Hawaiian rolls. So I'm thinking we're going to do some sliders. Because I also know I have lunch meat in the meat freezer. So far I think we've got 4 dinners. So the other one that I think we're going to do is the chicken enchilada soup made tons of leftovers, but let's make these sliders. So we're going to cut our buns in half, and yes, they look a little sad because they did get a road rash on the way out of the freezer, but that's okay. So I just put these in a 9x9 pan. These are great for entertaining. They're great for lunch. They're great for dinner. They're great for a snack. We like ours meaty, so I pile on quite the bit of ham, and then we're just going to put on some Monterey Jack cheese. And then I found these pickles. They are Famous Dave's spicy pickles, zesty dill garlic. Whew, they were delicious. If you eat them plain, they're spicy, and I only put them on half of them just because the kids were going to eat these too. But when you cook them, you didn't taste the spice at all. So we're going to top our buns back. We are going to do, I did only 2 tablespoons of butter with some whole grain mustard and some onion powder. Definitely recommend about half a stick of butter instead of 2 tablespoons, but we are going to layer that on top, cover it in tin foil, and we are going to bake these at 350 for about 20 minutes covered, and then we're going to take them out and do 10 minutes uncovered. And these are so easy, so delicious, kid friendly, and they are easy to pack and take for snacks here, there, and everywhere. That's going to wrap up our meal plan with no grocery shopping. All of those items were things I had here in the house that I have either pre-bought or, you know, stocked up on at some point in time. And like I said, we did only do 4 dinners because that chicken enchilada soup really did make a ton of leftovers. My husband took it to lunch like twice that week. Twice during the week. It's a good soup, but it is one that the kids didn't necessarily like because it is on the spicier side and my kids are on the younger end. The pork roast, I will say, not totally worth the effort that goes into that one. Maybe I'll try another way or try and find a different recipe that's a little more dump and go, because personally it was a lot of work for me. I don't like those more challenging recipes. But the scalloped potatoes, I will leave the recipe down below along with all the other recipes. I did make those for Easter. It was only my second time making them, and I will tell you, they were delish. All the accolades from Easter. So super easy too, not super hard. But again, all recipes will be linked down in the description. If you enjoyed this week's Cook With Me, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. I'd love to have you hanging out in my little corner of the internet. I am hoping we will get to 500 soon so I can do my next giveaway. But over here we do lots of cooking, budget grocery shopping, budgeting, cash stuffing, and all the fun things, including shopping with me, because that's fun too. So if you like any of that, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. I will ask you all to subscribe here, there, and everywhere, because I just like having the party people in my corner of the internet. So anyway, I will see you guys in the next one. Thanks for hanging out with me. Okay, bye.